Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here to share the speaker portion of our Connections Over Coffee gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. Liz Goll Lerner is speaking on making an inspired choice, why it matters. She is a communications expert and has over 40 years of experience as a coach, counselor, art therapist, and spiritual teacher. A true pioneer, she's developed many highly respected, groundbreaking coaching and therapeutic programs for her own practice and for health centers across the nation. Liz teaches techniques from various modalities to help guide individuals toward healing, embodiment, and a sense of reconnection to their own source of strength. Her passion is to ensure that all conversations, from the bedroom to the boardroom, create a world we all want to live in. And you can see Liz's website in the text below this video. Thank you for being here, Liz. Whenever you're ready, let's hear you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be with you and to have chatted with you guys a little bit ahead and really talk about what it means to, what we said I was going to talk about, which is make an inspired choice. And what I mean by that is that, a lot of times we go through life and we are in situations that where we make choices, we say things, we act in certain ways, and a lot of times it's not very inspired. It's a little bit reactive, or we get afraid and we step out, or we find ourselves just sort of going through the motions. And a lot of times we do that and the results are not exactly what we wanted, because we weren't, at least I find for myself, wasn't actually in my body and actually able to not be thinking about, what just happened in that moment, or what just happened before with that person, or what I have to do next, and so on. So there's a lot going on, and my response or my action isn't grounded. Everything that we do and all the results that we want usually have something to do, what actually happens with the things that we want usually has something to do with how we communicate what we want, and also has something to do with how we communicate in relationship. So that will often start with how we communicate with ourselves and how then we communicate outside of ourselves. So I remember years and years and years ago, at the beginning of my work, my career, I was walking on a beach with a colleague, friend, and I was complaining. I was complaining about everything. I was complaining about I was working in a hospital setting. I was complaining about the hospital. I was complaining about how the doctors were treating me. I was complaining about, I was talking about what I was afraid of. I was talking about, you name it. I was just giving him the whole lowdown. And he turned to me and he said, this doesn't really sound like you. This doesn't sound like you at all. And because he had seen me at work and what was interesting was that he just hadn't seen that part of me. And when I started thinking about what he was saying, so then all of a sudden he says, who is actually talking in your head? Who is that? And I thought, wow, that's a really interesting question, because, I think who's talking in my head is me. And he's suggesting that, there's somebody else going on in there. And I'm not talking about, mental health issues. I'm talking about our self-talk, like what is actually happening in our heads. And I was thinking about it and I was thinking, okay, well, who is saying some of this negative stuff to me? And I started really thinking about who are these voices, right? So, I got a teacher from when I was in elementary school. I got my mother. I got a nasty kid from when I was really young. I got, if I really started listening to what I was saying to myself, it was about who had shown up in my life and had an impact, some significant, some not significant, and who was actually running the show. Like, was I running the show, or were all these, parts that became a part of me, thinking that we think them forever, so we think they're us, or at least I thought they were me. And then I realized, wait a minute, that's not actually me. So then I got to choose. I got to start thinking about, like, do I agree with that statement? Do I agree that I'm good or not good at this? Do I agree that I should be afraid here? Do I agree that this is the right thing or the wrong thing to say? Like, do I agree that I should have my hair this way or wear this thing? Like, do I agree? And I started to realize, and that started to be really the basis of my work, is, we really do have choices. We have choices about what we think. We have choices about what we feel. And, I knew that I was walking around, I was all about growth and, wanting to, be better. And deciding that, or seeing that I had a choice, had a whole different picture on things, right? Like, do I actually have to be afraid that I'm going to screw up? Well, maybe not, right? Am I going to do what it takes if it's something I have to do, like talk here? Do I do what it takes so that I can feel as confident as possible? And do I really question the voice that might be saying, oh, you, whatever it's saying? I don't know. It wasn't saying anything today, so I don't know what example to give you. But it's the idea that we walk around thinking that we don't have a choice. We walk around thinking that what we feel is who we are, and how we always have done things is just what we do. And I'm here to say it isn't. Like, we get to choose what parts of ourselves we love and want to accentuate, and what might just be a mythology that was never true in the first place. That somebody just had a bad day and said something to us, and then we took it and we ran with it, and that was it. So how is it that we can make an inspired choice, and what is an inspired choice? So in my opinion, an inspired choice is when we are actually centered. We're actually taking a moment to be aligned with ourselves, integrated, still, taking a breath, right? And then actually being able to step back in that moment and go, okay, what's actually happening here in this moment? Because a lot of times when we're having a conversation with someone, we are not actually present. We're thinking about our laundry list, or we're thinking about our, of things to do, or we're thinking about, what that person said in the last conversation. We're not actually hearing them. But if we were actually present and came from a place of stillness, we might see the situation entirely differently. We might see ourselves entirely differently. So that might sound really hard, like, oh, I have to know how to meditate, or I have to know how to do this or that to be able to get in that place. And frankly, it isn't that hard, because all we're doing is stopping the action. And it doesn't mean that the stuff that we've been dealing with, or that might come up in that moment, isn't stuff we might have to attend to. We probably do. But there is a way to just be in stillness and make that choice. And they show up, those choices, in every day. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're tiny. Sometimes it's how we respond to a cashier. Sometimes it's, if we're talking about a serious conversation within a relationship or making a decision about a job. But every moment, if we can be actually present, then that makes a huge difference in what we say and do. And also how we feel about ourselves. Like, really, the biggest relationship we have is with ourselves. And if we can kind of get in line with that, a lot of things go a lot smoother. So I'd like to teach you guys how to do that quickly, if you guys would like to know. So, so all you need to do, if you're sitting in a chair where your feet can be touching the floor, that would be best. If your back is supported, that would be best. And what I'd like you to do, just for a moment, we're going to do a mini version, a very quick version of my quantum presence technique. So I just want you to close your eyes if you're willing. You can keep your eyes open if you prefer. And take a nice deep breath through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just breathing normally. We don't want anybody to get dizzy. And I want you to just, with your intention, put your attention on your feet and really feel what your feet feel like, what they feel like touching the floor. So feeling your feet resting on the floor and feeling the floor coming up to meet your feet. And if you're sitting, since we all are, we're not going to feel the weight of our bodies supported by the floor, but we are going to feel our feet supported by the floor. Really tune in to what the bottom of your feet feel like. And imagine that the floor is the earth, our beautiful earth, and we're breathing in through our feet, that earth energy. And if we could please have our hands just on our legs and breathing in with our intention, the energy into our feet and up into our legs, and feeling that density in the base of our hips. Once again, breathing in through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, letting go whatever needs to go. And all the way up into the head, bringing that energy, feeling the weight of your body supported by the chair. And then imagining that life force is coming through the top of your head, golden light mingling with all of that earth energy, moving into every cell, muscle, tendon, and your whole nervous system, every organ, all of your skin, your biggest organ, and putting your attention in the heart, in your chest, with one hand on the chest and the other on your hand. And breathing into your hands. Breathing in life force, exhaling whatever needs to go. Breathing in light and exhaling love. Breathing in love and exhaling light. And then simply say, I am here. I have a right to be here. I have a right to be here fully and freely. I am here. Nice deep breath. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Now, hopefully, some of you, if not all of you, felt still for a moment. That took maybe a minute, maybe two. If you were to practice that every day when you got up in the morning, you would begin to know how to move into that space like that. The reason we want to be in that space, because we're actually here in our bodies. It's really hard to be integrated and come from a place of stillness and choice if we're not in our bodies. And most of us, myself included, walk around a lot of the time like, oh, I got to go here, got to go there, got to do this, got to do that. Oh, there's a text message. Oh, there's, an email. Oh, I've got to answer that, whatever. And all of a sudden, we're not there. We think we're there. We act like we're there, but we're not there. We're kind of partly there. So if somebody says something that really upsets us, or we have to make a quick decision, or whatever, we want to respond to somebody in a particular way, it's reactive. We're not embodying like all of ourselves, our brain, our heart, our physicality, to even feel into, is what that person's saying making me feel restricted or making me feel expansive? Does that choice I have to make me feel restrictive or expansive? If somebody hurts my feelings and I just want to say, hey, go to whatever, do I do that because I'm emotionally reactive? Or don't tell me what to do, or whatever it might be. And then I kind of screw things up, right? Because why, now there's two people playing not nicely, But the other thing that it does to come into the center of yourself is to help you in situations where you don't know exactly what to say or do. In my group, in our breakout group, there are a couple of times where people either said things they didn't really want to say or didn't say anything at all. And myself included. And I think it's about having a place to go inside that helps us be brave and helps us have the courage to, even if it doesn't sound perfect, say what we actually think or want or don't like that's happening. And if we take the moment to actually just feel into what's going on in this moment, maybe we don't drag 5 experiences or years of discord or a habit that somebody does that bothers us into that one conversation. Maybe we are just there present and going, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Could you say that differently? Or, what's happening right now isn't really working for me. Maybe we should take a break. Or, I really love what you're saying, but it's not my thing. This is what I think about this. Like, I can really appreciate this is where you're coming from. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves the time or the opportunity. And if we screwed up, a lot of times we don't want to come back and say that we screwed up, right? To own it. But really, all of a sudden, when you do, all that junk that's in between the relationship goes away, because you're really just being there, your whole self, right? And I said, before we started the recording, we're all such tender hearts that it's really hard sometimes to just say what's true, because we don't want to be hurt, or we don't want to hurt somebody else, or we don't want to put ourselves at risk in some way, or we think we know. But it's really helpful to just take the time. So doing that affects a lot of things, right? Like, it affects how we show up in our body language. It affects how we show up in our voice. It affects the decisions we make. It affects like tons of stuff. And I think what's most important to me to let you guys know today is that it doesn't have to be that hard. That it really doesn't take but a minute or two to come into a space where you can feel grounded and decide. Now, as I said, it doesn't mean that it solves your whole life, right? But it means that you know what you want to work on in other places. It means that maybe some of your relationships are better, or maybe some of your visions are more clear. Like, what do you really want in this relationship? What do you really want in this job? What do you really want in your self-talk? What do you really want? And have the ability to get it, right? Like, we all want that. The whole quantum presence technique deals with stuff that you might be afraid of in the future, stuff in the past that may keep coming up for you. And so if you're interested in that, there'll be a link to get in touch with me. But I think another part of it is there's this thing on my website called Getting to the You Without the Goo. And the goo, in my mind, is all that stuff, that sticky emotional stuff that we end up like carrying around like with a sack on our backs, right? From so many interactions and so many like experiences. And wouldn't it be great if we could just like on a continual basis, just, kind of separate ourselves from the goo, And this technique is one of the ways to begin to do that, where you actually are recognizing that you're present in this moment. And do I really need to carry around that sack in every interaction I have? Like, probably not. But we're so often so used to like, oh, well, this is just my goo. This is just what it is. And actually, like, literally imagining that you're taking that sack of goo and putting it down and letting it rest and addressing it where and when it needs to be addressed. But when you walk around every day, knowing that you're going to address it or that it's being addressed, but you're not carrying it. So that, if there's something really sticky, letting go of our burdens, someone put in the chat, it's just letting it go, addressing what we need to address. But if I'm having lunch with you and I had, an issue with you in our last lunch, like, I use this example a lot, it's like, am I talking with you in the moment or am I talking to you back then? And if I'm talking to you back then, I really need to unstick that stuff and either talk to you about it or let it go. Have it not matter, because here you are, this valuable person with me having this interaction and connection, and I'm blowing it. Maybe I thought you blew it the last time, but I'm blowing it this time because I'm still there. Right? So I want, so my goal would be to like, talk about it or just go, hey, I really value you. Right. So one of the I don't know how much time I've got left.
1 minute.
Oh, good. Well, okay. In that 1 minute, I want to say that I'm going to give you guys a link to, I'm going to put it in the chat when I'm done, the invitation to the meditation that I have on the website. That's sort of a guided meditation that puts you, helps you sort of get to that place, and then you can envision whatever you like. And then if you're interested in really getting the technique that I was teaching today, you can email me, and I'll put my email in the chat, and you can let me know that you want that. I didn't have a link where you could just go right there. And the reason I had mentioned that I was going to mention the book is the Divorce Well and Thrive book, is that the whole technique from soup to nuts is in that book. And also talks a lot about relationship, whether you're in a, get divorced or not. It's really a wonderful guide to being in a relationship in a mindful and in the present moment way. So thank you so much for listening to my thoughts.
Thank you. I'd like everybody to unmute yourself so we can clap and applaud and say yay for Liz, so she can hear a little bit of us. So yay, thank you. Thank you. That
Yay.
was so good. I put a couple of things. My new mantra, I'm going to separate, or I'm separating myself from the goo. Anybody else love that?
Letting go of that goo.
Letting go of the goo. So thank you so much, Liz, for sharing your wisdom. And I want to thank anyone who's watching this, either live or the replay. If you'd like to join us for one of our free Zoom gatherings, let me stop this here so it's not so distracting. And or an in-person in Columbia, Maryland, Richmond, Virginia, or Tallahassee, Florida, just comment on this and I will send you something. Or you can go to my website, opwgc.com, and find out all about our community. Thanks again for watching.